What's going on, friends? SeanPierceJohnson here, and today we are going to be taking a look and listen to the brand new Morley 2020 series Distortion Wah. Last year, Morley graciously sent me two different wahs to check out, the George Lynch Dragon 2 and the DJ Ashba Skeleton Mini Wahs. Now, for years, I was very much set in my wah ways. I didn't feel the need to check out Morley or anybody else's products for that matter outside of what I preferred. But I was quickly converted. With 2020 comes a whole brand new series for Morley. They've revamped their entire line, given them a little bit of a facelift and some cool new features that we are going to talk about today. First off, we've always known that Morley wahs and volumes have always been fairly large pedals, but those mini wahs that we looked at last year are now the standard size. So every model of Morley wah, from the Distortion Wah to the classic switchless to the new Bad Horsie and Mark Tremonti signatures, these are going to be the standard size from now on for Morley. In addition, they have redesigned the buffer circuit that goes inside the pedals, so it's a little bit more improved over previous versions. And then everything has kind of been retuned to different sweeps, kind of taking customer feedback and seeing what they like and tailoring different models to each specific combined function. Having talked to the guys at Morley, they've told me that they've kind of modified the sound of the Bad Horsie wah, the Steve Vai signature wah. It has a bit wider of a sweep, but with that really sweet top end that wah has, and I think it sounds really cool, and I love wahs with wide sweeps. It's a slime green color, which looks very, very cool. But before you go thinking that it's just a tube screamer in here, because trust me, it's not. This is actually a slightly modified power distortion circuit that was in the Power Distortion Wah for many, many years. And they've improved it slightly. They've given it a little bit more of a gain range, they've sweetened the tone control slightly, and it sits more in the overdrive camp rather than the distortion camp. So you can certainly do some overdrive pedal things with the Distortion Wah. It is that classic Morley switchless, which has the auto return function on the treadle, which is very, very cool. And then the top has this nice grip tape that's actually glow in the dark, which I hope I'll get some B-roll of and you'll be able to see. It does take a 9-volt battery, so you are more than welcome to open up the compartment and put one in right there, pardon the dual lock on the bottom of the pedal, or you can power it with a center negative 9-volt power supply. Input, output, the front logo also glows in the dark, and the distortion is switchable right here on the right-hand side of the pedal. Now that we've talked about the two different components and what all goes into the Distortion Wah, let's hear each one individually, starting with this distortion circuit. I'm gonna show you a couple different sounds, low gain and high gain, with single coils and humbuckers, because it's quite a versatile little distortion box inside. you can hear that this is most certainly not your daddy's tube screamer. As a matter of fact, it's, like I said, not a tube screamer at all. You'll probably hear me say that a few more times throughout this video. And it sounds really cool. The tone control, very, very useful. I find that when using single coils, it does come in handy to tame some of that brightness, but if I have it up higher, I can use the tone control on my guitar in order to warm up the sound a little bit. But I love that I still retain all the tone of the guitars that I plug into it, so it's very nice for that. Now let's take a listen to this wah, both with clean and dirty, single coils and humbuckers. So now that we've taken a listen to both the distortion and the wah on the Morley 2020 Distortion Wah individually, let's put them all together. And I think the best way to show you how this is done is by just playing around with the setting that I find myself using more often than not. Now, like I said at the top of the video, don't think that just because this pedal is like a slime green color means that the distortion is a tube screamer, because it's most certainly not. However, that doesn't mean you can't do what you normally do with a tube screamer in front of a high gain amp with it. As a matter of fact, that's what I like to do. I run the volume on the distortion with a fair amount of boost, a little bit of that extra grit from the gain in the distortion, and use the tone control to give myself just a little bit more articulation and to help make it so that the low end isn't quite so tubby. Then when it comes time to go into a solo, kick on a little bit of echo, use that wah, and just vibe on it for days. So let me go ahead and play you my rhythm sound without the distortion. Now I'll go ahead, kick on the distortion, and I have the level at about 12 o'clock. The distortion drive is at 9 o'clock, and then I have the tone in between 1 and 2 o'clock on the dial, and that changes that normal rhythm sound to something a little bit heftier. And there you go, my friends. That is the Morley Distortion Wah from the brand new 2020 series. And boy, what a distortion wah it is. I got to admit, I normally always feel a little weird about combined effects with wah pedals, because a lot of the previous examples that I've seen more heavily marketed in the marketplace today, they just seem to not be as intuitively designed as this one is. The fact that your control for on-off of the distortion is right here alongside, and it's a normal foot switch. The knobs are kind of out of the way and recessed, so you're not going to be hitting it with your foot and changing your settings accidentally, is definitely a big time plus. I do love this power distortion circuit in here, slightly modified, of course, from the original. But my big favorite thing is, of course, boosting my already dirty amplifier for big, fat, mean, and nasty tones. And then the wah, just having that really wide range and wide sweep is one of those things that I've really come to love about Morley wah pedals. Now, a lot of you are probably going to be wondering how I feel about this versus the George Lynch wah, the one that I decided to keep from the previous two that we looked at. It's tough to make that call right now because I haven't done a side-by-side. And what I love about the George Lynch wah is not only does it have 2 wah voicings, it also has that wah lock, and I use that a lot. And as a guy who utilizes wah for more of its extreme effects and special moments and accents and songs, and isn't necessarily like Kirk Hammett or Mrs. Smith for that matter, who just seem to be wah addicts, I can't really say that this is better than that, but at the same time, this has just as many extreme sounds in it as I can remember with the George Lynch. Maybe you guys would like to see a comparison video of that, so if we can get this video up to, say, 25 thumbs up, I'll consider doing a little Stompbox smackdown for you guys of the Distortion Wah versus the George Lynch wah. And in the meantime, while we wait for that to go on, I'm gonna have some fun with this, but I'd love to know what you guys thought of the 2020 Distortion Wah. Let me know your thoughts, positive or negative, in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it that thumbs up and sharing the link with your friends. If you enjoyed and want to see more content, please do consider becoming a subscriber by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the bell to turn on notifications. But if you'd like to see any of that content before anyone else, or you just feel like supporting the channel, please do consider becoming a member of my Patreon community, which you can find a link for in the description below. Until next time, my friends, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, wishing you all out there a great day, great tone, and happy stomping. Cheers, friends. We'll see you next time.